Bitswap is the hottest new way to trade tokens. Crawling all the top decentralized exchanges, Bitswap will get you the very best price and value for your trades. Bitswap is changing the game. Try it now at bitswapdex.com.
Welcome to Rice TVX and the latest episode of the Rice Crypto Show. Today I am joined by returning guest Ben Armstrong, who is the creator and host of BitBoy Crypto. I'm going to have the links down below and above for his first appearance, and as always, I encourage you to check that interview out. And most of you know that I make regular appearances on BitBoy Crypto Show around the blockchain. So I invited him on today to catch up, talk about cryptocurrencies, economics, and more. Before we get into it, make sure you visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX content. Plus, you can find my social media links, contact information, get Rice TVX merch coming soon via the shop, and more. If this is your first time ever watching any of my videos, check out and explore my channels. Make sure you subscribe to Rice TVX and Rice TVX2. Both can be found on YouTube. And hit the notification bell to get alerted to new videos. Also, you can follow me on Odyssey and Library, where I have my full catalog of videos plus extra content. And you can also find Rice TVX on BitChute. If you want to support Rice TVX and what I do directly, I have my PayPal, Cash App, plus my cryptocurrency addresses via my Cointree link below in the video description. You can also join my Patreon channel, where you will get early access to some of my videos, exclusive content, and more, with 4 different levels of membership, all offering something different. If you are looking to purchase and invest in precious metals, gold and silver are both good safe haven assets to hedge against the financial collapse we are experiencing. Check out Money Metals Exchange. I partnered up with them and you can get a free ½ ounce of silver. Visit moneymetals.com, be a first-time buyer, purchase a minimum of $100, and use the promo code RICE. You get a free ½ ounce of silver, and it's another way to support the channel. I will include links down below for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything I talk about on today's show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me on today's episode of the Rice Crypto Show is no stranger to the show. This is Ben Armstrong. He is the host of BitBoy Crypto. And before we even begin today's show, I'm going to have links down below for the first conversation that we had back in 2020. But I really wanted to take this chance to thank you, Ben, for inviting me on your channel with Around the Blockchain. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to converse with peers and also to be able to promote my channel and grow. So I really wanted to thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why we do the channel. I mean, I know, Chris, you remember back, I guess the first time we ever met each other was World Crypto Con in 2018. I'm pretty sure that was it.
2018. That was it.
Yeah, I think it was. So, I mean, you remember back then, nobody knew who any of us were, and it was just the kind of thing where I've been like super blessed over the years to see the amazing growth on my channel and, the growth of my community. It's the kind of thing where I like all the people that were with me back then, like I want to help those people out and get you guys to another level like I've been able to do. And that's why we do the show. We want to lift up crypto. It's not about, it's about getting other perspectives, but it's about like me, really trying to give back to the people that, I kind of came up with and newer creators that have got a lot to say. That's why we do it. It's to lift up crypto. It's not that show. It's a perspective and is to help out other creators. And we really enjoyed the success that a lot of other people have had coming on the show.
Right on, dude. I mean, for one, you didn't have to do it. And, I think it's really cool that you are doing it, that you're trying to not make it just about what you do. Just your crew over at BitBoy Crypto, trying to invite a lot of different perspectives on. So I think it's cool. And, I really wanted to say, one, thanks for accepting the invitation to come on today, because I'm looking forward to talking about a little bit of economics after we get through this crypto part. But yeah, I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to make sure I was getting a screen share right, but I wanted to, another thing, man, look, I mean, over 1.28 million subscribers, dude.
It's wild.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I know you've been grinding.
Yeah, we stay grinding. We don't slow down. We're up to, I think, 4 videos a day almost every day now. So we had a little 3-minute wrap up video at the end. A lot of people were requesting like a shorter form version of the crypto news, so we did that. And we're always trying to give our audience what they want. We're always trying to give the audience what they came for, and hopefully they get a good experience. And one thing is different from my channel than a lot of other channels is we don't just talk crypto. I mean, we'll get off on rabbit trails in the live stream. We might talk about sports or movies or pop, current events, whatever, music, whatever it might be. And I think that's something that makes our community very special. Is it's really a group of like-minded individuals, all kind of searching and chasing after the same stuff. It's not people that just come for information dumps. And, we want to grow that relationship between our audience and us as much as we can.
That's awesome, dude. Well said. And another thing that I want to commend you on is the fact that you have an entire staff. You're employing people, you're giving people a way to live, and you've got a couple different partnerships and such. I mean, I know TJ has moved from California, sold his house, and moved to Georgia, and is working with you. He's pretty much your partner now.
Yeah, he is my business partner. We're basically, I'm 2/3, he's 1/3 basically of BitBoy Crypto. So, a lot of people say like, well, you did this channel for so long without him, but TJ has really allowed us to go to another level. So, I could have got to a certain place and made money on my own and done well, but bringing him in as my business partner has definitely been something that's helped us to expand, I think, further than I could have ever taken us ourselves. So.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. I mean, TJ is a smart dude, and I mean, between the two of you, you guys have, or the whole entire crew there at BitBoy Crypto, you've got Hit Network and New Money Gang, which is Jay Chains and Brian. They have you and Jay Chains used to do a show together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of
Beards and Bitcoins back in the day.
Yeah, you guys brought me on one of the episodes, so I mean, it's kind of keeping that family friendly environment. And then another thing I mean, not only all that I just mentioned, which I'm supremely impressed with, especially, watching you grow, but having, being able to have conversations with people like Chris Jericho, having Busta Rhymes instant message you, Tom McDonald, I know, talked to you and TJ. I've been trying to get an interview with him.
Yeah.
Akon just like rolls up in your studio.
Yeah, I came to the studio. That was fun, man.
That's pretty wild, dude.
Yeah. It's all been crazy. I mean, been meeting people I never would have thought I would get to meet. We've got a special thing with Post Malone we're doing. We don't know when it's going to be because he has to start his tour first. Once he starts his tour, like, we got this collaboration we're doing with him where I'm going to go, backstage at one of his concerts, and we're going to hang out. So it's like the stuff that we do on this channel that I get to do, like, it's things I just never imagined. I mean, I remember, pretending to be Chris Jericho when we were wrestling in the neighborhood back in the day, and then to have him on the channel, it's definitely very surreal. But I think it just shows, crypto is reaching a whole different, kind of person now, a whole different demographic. And these people are really interested in what's going on in this space. And, it's led to a lot of really cool opportunities. And, at the end of the day, I'm just so blessed, like, in every way imaginable. And, always think the community, if it's not for the people watching my channel, then I wouldn't get these opportunities, so we all share in the success together.
And I appreciate you being humble, dude, because I mean, obviously a lot of people, when they get to that level, start to be a little bit more about themselves and very egotistical. So it's kind of cool. I think in a way, I think you're surrounding yourself with people too that keep you in that position.
Yeah, that's true. Because like I would like to say kind of what you were talking about earlier about bringing in Justin or Jay Chains, and then bringing in TJ and Brian. And then we also brought in Justin Williams, who's in charge of our NFTs. Like, these are all some of my best friends. Like, these are people that have been friends with me. Me and Justin Williams go back, almost 15 years now. And being able to bring these people in with the success and find jobs for them where they're able to contribute and do something different than they were doing before, go full-time in crypto. Like, I don't know. I just always think, like, you hear about rap songs, where they're like, I brought the whole crew with me, and that's how I feel. Me and TJ are friends. We've been friends since 2018. So it's like, that's been something that's also been very fortunate, is to bring not just friends along with me, but people that know me very well, also, because it does come, because I'm always humbled by my community, but, a lot of people, having a big ego is something that I've struggled with my whole life, even when I didn't have anything to be proud of, so being able to surround people that, surround yourself with people that can hold you accountable and know you very well, that, keep you humble. I do think that's, really important. And I think, a lot of people look at the success and the money and stuff, and it's like, the money's cool. Like, there's no question about it. Money can't buy happiness. I was happy before I had money, so now that I have it, like, we were able to buy a Lamborghini, and, we have a suite at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Like, we do a lot of really cool stuff. But at the end of the day, like, having money just makes you more of what you already are, so when you see these people that get fame and it goes to their head, and, they start acting like douches, they don't talk to anybody that they know anymore. Like, they were already kind of built that way, I believe. So, they already probably had some leanings towards, one being selfish and pushing people away. And so, it's been really cool to, like I said, bring everybody along with me, and, sharing the success.
That's awesome, dude. That's very cool. Okay, so what I wanted to do before we get into some of the meat of the conversation is I wanted to, real quick, if you don't mind, tell people who are unfamiliar with BitLab Academy what exactly BitLab Academy is. And then we can touch on Bitswap DEX, of course, because Bitswap DEX is one of the sponsors of Rice
Sure.
TVX, which I appreciate.
Yeah, so the BitLab Academy is a brand new academy that teaches people how to go from a noob to a pro in blockchain. We've got all kinds of different levels of content. We have intermediate, beginner, expert. And the cool thing is it's $29 a month. Maybe it's $29.99 a month, but it's under $30. I know that for sure. And, the cool thing is we're constantly adding content. So it's like you come there and you go through all the content and you're like, oh man, but I really want to learn about, DeFi, or, this niche of NFTs or gaming. Well, eventually we're going to be adding all that stuff, in there as we go. So every month, it's not like you pay $29.99 and then you run through it in a month. Every month we're adding new stuff. And as the crypto space evolves and changes, the content is going to change with it. And so, all the old stuff will still be there, but as new stuff comes in, you can take part in that. And you also get access to our Discord server, which was already $29.99 a month. So if you are in the Discord server, I mean, you're basically getting the BitLab Academy for free. So it's just a way we believe that, the mission statement here at BitBoy Crypto is empowering people to find financial freedom through digital assets. And so any way that we can do that, any way that we can help educate people, because my biggest flaw in the early days of getting in Bitcoin back in 2012 was I wasn't educated, and there weren't educational resources out there to be able to kind of become a pro. I became extremely knowledgeable about crypto through making videos. Honestly, I mean, if I go back to when I started making videos, I knew about, in my pinky about crypto compared to what I know now. And it's because of all the research and learning and, making videos and having a deep dive into different topics that I learned so much about it. But now we're providing like all that education in one place where you can come in and get it. So we really love BitLab Academy. We think it's going to, number one, it's going to be a good product for us. But number two, it's going to help educate people. And that's what we're all about. Bitswap DEX is a decentralized exchange that is built with DexKit. DexKit is a crypto project that basically enables anybody to open up a DEX or an NFT platform. Excuse me. It's really cool technology that we're able to do this. And what it is it's a DEX aggregator. So as you can see there on the list, it searches 14 different sources: Uniswap, Kyber, Mstable, Curve, many more, in order to give you the absolute best price. So the long and short of it is this: if you are going to be getting an asset through an Ethereum DEX, I think we have Binance Smart Chain enabled there as well. If you're going to be able to go get something through a DEX, then we're going to give you the very best price, unless the only exception to that would be if it was only available on Uniswap. And most projects people are looking at, they're available on multiple exchanges. So we're going to crawl those and give you the very, very best price. And we also have a token, the Bit token. And if you own, I think it's 1,000 Bit token, you get like, I don't know, you get like 60% or 90% off on fees. I can't remember exactly what the number is, but I think it's 90% off on your fees. So if you own the Bit token, just 1,000 of them, which I think is equivalent to, I don't know, $200 right now, somewhere around there, then you're able to get, a huge discount on your trading fee. So we're just offering a good way for people to be able to exchange crypto, do it quickly and do it cheaply and affordably.
Yeah, I mean, I think aggregators are really important. I mean, when you're able to pull from a bunch of different sources and give people the best price possible, when in considering fees and all that. I mean, a lot of people are trying to save money in those aspects, especially when you look at a lot of the Ethereum fees and such that have been going on lately because of traffic and all that. It's getting a little crazy. So I did want to, before we get into the economic stuff, I'm not going to harsh on you about price predictions and any of that stuff. I don't even know why people do that. Like, people try to guesstimate things that are going to happen and try to provide good information. And then other people want to try to make their whole point of content of calling people out who aren't correct.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, there's so much going on in the world affecting things. And then we can add what's going on in the cryptocurrency. So what are your thoughts kind of like where we are in the market? Do you feel like we're still in a bull market? Do you still feel like 100K is in target?
Yeah, I do. And I think this is just one of those cases where we're probably we're probably up to 2 months, maybe 6 to 8 weeks ahead of schedule on when we thought things were going to get where. We thought they were going to get Bitcoin is going to be 100,000 by the end of September, beginning of October. And of course, people are killing us for it because we're one of the only channels like brave enough to pick a date. And look, the predictions are fun. Like that's what it boils down to. The audience, there's nothing the audience asks for more than predictions. And like I said at the beginning, we give our audience what they're looking for. And so we come up with what we think will be happening. We use all kinds of different methods and, formulas to figure out, like we don't just pick numbers out of the air. We come up with what we think things will be when. And, we're not always right. But the funny thing is, like, I like to use the example. If we go back to when I said Ethereum was going to hit $2,500 by Valentine's Day earlier this year, and it didn't. And everybody killed me over there. Like, you said Ethereum to 2,500 by Valentine's. Well, you know what? 6 weeks later, it hit it. And then it went way beyond it. And you know what happened? Nobody talked about it anymore because it got there. The date isn't as important as it actually getting to the price predictions and the numbers that you want it to get to. We believe that Bitcoin is going to hit $100,000. I believe it's going to be this year. Some people believe in an expanded cycle or a lengthening cycle, and that maybe Q2 of next year it's going to hit it. I don't think that's the case. Maybe Q3 of next year. I believe it will be by the end of this bull run. I think we're seeing so many moving parts around the economy that are signaling something bad is coming for the United States and the world economy. And it's coming soon. If everything crashes, Bitcoin's not going to pump. We already know that. We saw that in March of 2020 when everything crashed. Bitcoin crashed just as much. Now it bounced back harder and faster and higher, but it will go down if the markets crash. Like, you're not exactly. So I think we all see what's shaping up at the end of this year to be pretty rough. Is it going to be as bad as the 2008 financial crisis? I believe it will, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a crash of monumental proportions to send everything spiraling. Stock market, housing market, crypto market. The only thing that won't go down is the bond market, but the yields or the bond market will be going down as well. So I think that, in general, I do think we're still on track for this year for 100K. I think we're going to get to 100K and pull back. Plan B on Twitter. Everybody knows him from creating the, stock to flow chart for Bitcoin. Stock to flow chart had already existed for other commodities, but he modeled it to Bitcoin. It's been extremely accurate. And he says 135K this year by December. And, just a reminder to people that over the summer, now I like Plan B. I'm not going to throw him under the bus or anything, but or in the summer, he said that Bitcoin was going to $400,000, and so now we go back a little bit further. And, he's having to backtrack on that. Well, $135,000 was the number he gave over the summer as the worst case scenario for Bitcoin. So he's kind of got to stick with that. Like he's in a position where he can't really come down off that number. He provided such a range from 135K to 400K. He figured surely he would be correct. Now he's up against the wall with that 135K number. I don't think it will hit that. I think it'll go barely over 100K and then go down. So a lot of people have been using his predictions and his numbers lately to be extremely accurate. Well, they've been extremely accurate the last 2 months. But if you go back to over the summer, it doesn't look that accurate.
No, I agree. And we've talked about it around the blockchain about decoupling from the stock to flow ratio as well, which I definitely see taking place.
Well, let me tell you what I see with that specifically, if you don't mind, Rice.
Yeah.
Is if you look at the median line on the stock to flow chart, like on the, I think it's like Buy Bitcoin Worldwide, whatever the name of the site is, you see it's a blue line. It follows the middle. You see during the bull runs where Bitcoin roars above that median line, and then the bear markets, it goes down below them. I think what we're starting to see with that stock to flow chart is that blue line that has been the median line, I think it's going to start acting as resistance. Right now, that number is about 110K, where we should be according to the median line. And I think that's about where we're going to peak out at here in 2 months. So I think that's what we're going to start seeing. We're just going to start seeing it actually being a little more, almost more accurate, where it's not going above the median line. It bounces against that median line instead of, going way above it.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, you also mentioned, I guess you got, and I know you can't reveal necessarily whom the individual or individuals are, but you've got some insider information that's providing you with some details about what's going on in the cryptocurrency space. You mentioned that you were under the impression that the Ripple SEC case would already be done by now. And I think it was this morning, I was listening to you and TJ talking on your live stream, your daily live stream that you do like 11:30-ish. That maybe people are waiting for the results of the Ripple SEC case before we really see anything take off. Because you were also mentioning in 2017 it was Ripple XRP that was kind of leading the altcoins as far as the pumps going on with the altcoin season. So what are your thoughts about what's currently going on with the SEC Ripple case?
Yeah, so I thought it would be done by now. It's told the timeline was September. About 6 weeks ago, maybe closer to 8 weeks ago now, maybe 7, I started telling people that timeline had been moved. It was no longer the middle of September. It was now pushed towards the end of September. And the people that are wanting this to be over, they're not very happy with how long that this has lasted. This will result in an SEC XRP settlement. And what's funny is people were killing me for saying there's definitely a settlement coming when Ripple a few weeks ago said, we'll never settle. And then literally a week later, Brad Garlinghouse said, yeah, we'll settle as long as they say we're not a security. So you already see the positioning, getting ready for this. I do think we're going to see this settled very soon. I mean, look, the September timeline did not play out exactly, but I believe that we're going to be pretty close. I don't see this going into December. Who knows? Maybe it's a month off. Maybe it's like the beginning of November. But I believe in the next 2 weeks, we will have major movement on this case. You have to understand the wheels of bureaucracy and government turn very slow. So even if the timeline was meant for this thing to be over by then, all the T's have to be crossed, all the I's have to be dotted, and maybe that has just been taking too long. But everything is a done deal. This is a done deal. What is coming? That the settlement for the SEC versus XRP case, it's going to come down. Financially, it's going to be a slap on the wrist. XRP will now be considered not a security going forward, never was a security. They will go after Ripple for their marketing practices and the way they pushed Ripple or the way they pushed XRP. That will all be in the language. And I believe that we're going to see that 100%. I have no doubts in that. I know my sources are very high level. It's not someone in the SEC. It's not somebody that works at Ripple. So it's even higher level than that. So, the minutia of the case on kind of the ground level, like I can't speak to the day-to-day of exactly what's changing and what's happening, but ultimately I believe that, we're going to see exactly what we said. Once again, the timeline may be off, but the truth is going to come out, and it's going to be exactly what we said.
Do you think that it would be a sealed settlement to where that no information will be available to the public and there can't be any precedent set for other coins?
100%. Now look, when we say sealed, we don't mean that 100% of it will be sealed, but any language pertaining to setting a precedent for what is and is not a security in the world of crypto, that will all be sealed.
That way they can continue going after other projects. Because if they did it otherwise, Ripple could take a stand on that. But if they did it otherwise, it would set that precedent and it would be favorable for the cryptocurrency project. So, but considering how tribal crypto is, I definitely see SEC going for it.
I am wearing my 589 shirt.
And then that's your price. Is that your price prediction?
No. That's so $589 is a meme. Basically, it's where this guy Bearable Bull, he came up with this idea that if all of the banks used XRP to transfer all the money in the world, the price of one XRP would be equal to $589. I don't know the exact mathematics on how he worked it out. But it's just kind of a meme in the crypto world where you say 589. I don't believe it'll go there ever. Who knows? Maybe one day it could go to 100 or 150 at the very, very most if it really became like the number 2 crypto or number 1 crypto. We think for this bull run, I mean, we're probably looking at $12 to $15. We think once the Ripple IPO is announced, we could see maybe it's actually pushed a couple years. Maybe we get to $50 to $75 in the next bull cycle or something like that. But 589 is probably, in my opinion, never going to happen, but it's fun to imagine. And it's, it's just a little fun thing for the community.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I was curious because I was hearing 589 and $5.89, and I wasn't sure like what exactly it meant.
$589 is the meme. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, for people that are interested in cryptocurrency, I definitely encourage them to go over and check out your channel if they're not already familiar, that are watching my stuff. And make sure you're checking out BitLab Academies, Bitswap DEX, all the links that are being provided down below in the video description. And I guess now what I'd like to do is kind of move on to the economic side of things. I'm not an expert. You're not an expert, but we like to consider ourselves pretty knowledgeable based off our research and what we've learned. And you have made some comments about the direction of, I'm assuming, the Federal Reserve, but Treasury, Federal Reserve going into a deflationary period, because we're kind of in this beginning stages of what could end up being higher forms of inflation or hyperinflation. And you're saying, and this is all the stuff that we've learned and we figured this is what was going to happen, but you're saying, based off some information you've gotten or research, that you feel that we're going into a deflationary moment. Where did you get that information, and what are your thoughts on it?
So this is from another source, is where it started me down on this rabbit hole, basically, of where the economy is going. And, this is a guy that's a very, very, very high level person involved in world economics. That's just what I'll say. And, the thought to me was shocking at first when he started suggesting deflation. It's kind of like one of these things where somebody suggests something to you and you see it and you're like, oh, okay, all right. But then all of a sudden dominoes start falling and you're like, wow, and now I see how that plays into this. Now I see how that plays into this. And really what it boils down to is this. Everyone in crypto has had this idea for years and years and years. I had it too. Okay. I'm speaking as one of these people that up until, probably, 4 months ago, like I believed that we were heading towards hyperinflation. Okay. Because the government is printing money out of control. It is insane how much they're printing money. It's like, I can't remember exactly what the number is, like 70% of all dollars in the world were printed in the last 24 months, whatever the stat is. It's insane. They had to discontinue the M1, I think, and M2 money supplies.
Everything. They've discontinued it all. Basel III information, all of it. They've just discontinued it.
Too parabolic, right? Like if you saw that chart in crypto, you'd say, like, get out. It's too parabolic, But you start wondering about that, and you really start. This is where we get into the differences between philosophy and what's really going to happen, because the philosophy behind crypto is get in crypto. They're going to continue printing money until the house of cards collapse. The problem is when it comes to the United States, we cannot collapse. The United States economy cannot collapse. We are too pivotal for the entire world, right? We provide liquidity everywhere. The amount of money that we donate however you want to call it, the money the government gives to other countries. Here's what's also important: the amount of debts that we owe around the world. If the United States economy were to collapse, it would kind of be like what would happen in the United States if the entire stock market collapsed. Not drop 50%. If overnight the stock market totally collapsed, think about what kind of effect that would have on the United States economy. It would destroy it. Well, that's what we would see in the world if all of a sudden the United States economy collapsed because we went into hyperinflation. If we went into hyperinflation, think about how many countries out there are holding US dollars, right? That would mean their money would be worthless. The countries around the world will not let the United States go into that. That's why all this talk about the debt ceiling is really silly. There's no way we're going to default on our debts. It would have too catastrophic effect on the world economy. And after coming out of the pandemic, it would be, much worse even, because things really aren't fully restored around the world. The stock market's fully restored. But if you actually look at, once again, the ground level, at what's going on with supply chain and different companies and small business, it's not even close to what it was, in most industries before we went into the pandemic. So you start sitting there saying like, okay, there's no way we're going to go into hyperinflation. But there's also no way we're not going to go into hyperinflation if they keep printing money like this. You say, what's the answer? make the dollar more valuable. That's the definition of deflation. When the dollar becomes more valuable, then that points us towards deflation. The dollar index starts strengthening instead of going down. Our purchasing power around the world goes up. Now you wonder, like, how are they going to do this? Well, number one, they start taking the bond yields, or the bond yields start dropping. That now, of course, we're talking about treasury bonds. We're talking about, I think there's 4 different types of bonds in the United States. Can't remember exactly what all 4 of them are called, but the treasury bonds, treasury notes are the main ones. So when you start looking at that, every time now they're starting tapering, which is going to further this. They've already started dropping the bond yields. It's already happening right in front of our eyes. So when you look at that, you start saying, like, okay, what is all this going to end up as? Well, every time they've dropped it in the past, we've gone into a multi-year, minimum of a decade period of inflation, or excuse me, of deflation. Japan has been in deflation for 20 years. The United States, I think our last time where we were in deflation was right after or right before the Great Depression. I can't remember exactly which one it was. I think it was maybe right before, and maybe it played a role into leading us into the Great Depression. But this has been consistent throughout history. Now, when you have Jerome Powell and you have Janet Yellen, Janet Fallon Yellen, as we call her, and you have many of these other people on their high horse, what you guys think about this? When you have the government warning its citizens about inflation, what does that tell you? When else has the government warned us about inflation? We've been inflating for years and years and years. Nobody said a word about it when they were passing legislation during the pandemic, right? Not a word was said about it.
Right, but I feel like it's getting out of control, so they have to say something because it's starting to bleed over into the mainstream, regardless if the news wanted to cover it or not. People are seeing prices
they're the
go
ones
up.
responsible for it. That's the only thing. They're the ones responsible for getting us in this spot. They're the ones responsible for inflation. And in my opinion, when you've got the government leading its citizens down a path, they're going to pull the rug out from under you. So what they're doing right now is they're trying to push everybody into this narrative of inflation is going to be so bad, it's going to continue to be worse and worse and worse, which, by the way, from August to September, we actually saw a slowdown in the rate of inflation. We're already starting to see the pendulum swing. They're trying to set us up. Why? Because the government wants to hold all the dollars. They want its citizens to be jumping out and jumping into something like Bitcoin or jumping into something like gold. Because when they pull the rug out from under everybody, cash is king, and people are going to want to have as many dollars as possible. And you're going to have all these people that were sold this narrative from the government that are jumping out because the government is preaching inflation is coming. They've never done this before. In my lifetime, I've never seen the government itself talking about inflation being a problem, right? We had corporations
not from the Federal
inflation.
Reserve. I mean, there's been politicians, but not the Federal Reserve or the Treasury.
Of course, individuals, but not the Treasury, not the Fed. And they're warning people about inflation. They're setting everybody up. And by the end of this year, this thing is going to totally switch. We are going to see the numbers come back, probably November to December or either October to November. We're going to see these numbers come back. Where we are now going negative on inflation. We're going into deflation. And people are, this narrative that people are holding on to, like, I want to hold on to crypto no matter what. Well, philosophically, I understand if you want to hold on to crypto no matter what. But from a dollar perspective, it definitely makes sense to get out and get into dollars. We're seeing banks doing this. We're seeing banks cutting credit lines everywhere. We're seeing banks making it much harder. They're raising interest rates. They're making it much harder to hand out loans, because even the banks are wanting to hold on to their money right now. Of course, when we talk about the government making decisions, it's all the banks that actually make the decisions. When you have those G20 and G8 summit meetings, that's just a way for the central banks to come there and tell the leaders of the countries what to do.
Well, okay, so let's say, because I'm thinking in theory, if we go into a deflationary event, that's also going to have to do with some deleveraging. How do you think that's going to affect the stock market? I'm not even 100% sure we can do this if we keep having incidences like Evergrande, which have to have bailouts in some fashion. I mean, Evergrande wasn't directly bailed out, but it was bailed out.
They basically were.
Yeah. It wasn't a direct bailout, but the banks were given money that Evergrande was supposed to repay. So it was like an extension on things.
And that was so China could take over Evergrande.
Right. Now, but if we keep seeing events like this happen, and we have to keep bailing out, and because I feel like this is the beginning of us hearing more about corporations like Evergrande defaulting. If we continue to have this where we have to keep these systems alive by providing bailouts, how do you feel that we can go into a deflationary event? And then also at the cross, to add to that, how do you think that a deflationary event would affect our stock market, which is just completely being propped up and pumped up?
Yeah, it's going to crush it. It's going to absolutely crush it. That's why we're talking about this is a black swan event. This is not great news.
So it's a crash of the system.
It's going to crash the system. But you have to understand, it's not collapsing the system, it's crashing the system. So if you kind of look at it like, what is the most important thing in the world for the United States? What is the thing that gives us the most power? Is it our GDP? Is it the amount of goods that we consume from other countries? Is it the amount of exports that we have? No. The thing that gives us the absolute most control over the entire world is the fact that we have the world reserve currency. Okay.
And the petrodollar, the fact that all oil is supposed to be traded by the US dollar.
Well, exactly. So it all revolves around the dollar and the strength of the dollar. Okay. That's everything. So what happens is, if we crash our own economy when we move into deflation, we just go through a financial crisis. We just go through the same thing we went through in 2008 or, earlier years in the 70s. We had a crisis as well. So what happens is that, we get to have the economic crash in America, which, the people that have money, they're still going to have money. It's the middle class and the lower class that suffer during those times. But the actual strength of the dollar will get higher. So they're willing to sacrifice the comfortability of the average citizen in the United States to make that dollar stronger, to keep us in the catbird seat in the world reserve currency. And this all will eventually lead us to the creation of the digital dollar, which the Fed's putting out a report on this week. They say they're not going to make a position on it, but they are going to do a digital dollar, a Fed dollar. It's coming for sure, CBDC.
I didn't know there was a report coming out this week. I have to look into that.
Yeah, it's coming out this week, but they did already say they are not officially making a decision, but this is a collection of all their research and all their findings that is coming out this week. So we're going to find out more about that. I believe eventually this leads us into the digital dollar, because if you think about supply and demand of the dollar, creating a digital dollar where anybody can go on, let's say Coinbase. You can go on Coinbase, or let's use an international exchange, Coin Mama or whatever, CoinSpots when they use in Australia. If you live in Australia and you want to move over to dollars, well, right now, what do you have to do? That's very difficult. Like, how do you move over to dollars if you're in Australia? You can't really, outside of going to your bank or an exchange service. Well, if you're able to just go onto CoinSpot in Australia, and now you're able to swap your crypto for the Fed dollar, for the US dollar digitally, it destroys all borders on the digital economy for worldwide economics. And so when you do that, you're going to be increasing the demand for dollars across. Now, think about this. You no longer have to necessarily have all of these Fed dollars stored up in your own, in a bank. If you could just make that exchange as well digitally, there's no reason for you to keep physical dollars on hand everywhere around the world to send money cross-border. You can do it with the Fed dollar, with the digital US digital dollar. So it's going to increase the supply for you, or the demand for US dollars by a lot. And when you do that, you are making it stronger. When there's more demand for it, you're making it stronger, and the actual value of it going up. So I think that's ultimately where all this leads us to.
It's definitely interesting, man. It's going to be really interesting to watch. I've been, listening to a lot of economists, and when it comes to the deflationary subject, it's like they can't do this. They've been pumping money into the system. They got to continue pumping money into the system. If they don't, it's all just going to crash. Then I look at China, what China was doing prior to Trump, and then what continued after Trump got out of office, which was de-dollarization, with the BRICS nations working with Russia and the Middle Eastern countries and such. So what I would like to do is basically, hopefully, like in another month or so, maybe a few weeks, we can reconvene the conversation kind of based off what's been going on geopolitically, because I'd like to continue this. I mean, it's been really enlightening. It's given me some things to think about and definitely some more questions to ask other economists, people that are a lot more knowledgeable on the subject than myself, to try to get a better understanding, comprehension, so that we can always better prepare our audiences, because it's really important that we be prepared for things like this, because if it happens the way that you're talking, like you said, it's not going to be a pretty event. It's not going to be good for anybody.
No, it's definitely not going to be good. It's going to be kind of a black swan event, like I said. But hopefully, we will see, the people that are in crypto, come out on the better side of this. The people that are knowledgeable and understand what's coming, because the people in crypto understand, economics much better than your average person.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, crypto should help people to want to understand economics, because that is one of the reasons why cryptocurrency was created, was because of the economic crash we had in 2008, the control that the fiat money gives governments and central banks, and trying to take that away and give it back to the people. So, I mean, decentralized cryptocurrencies, I definitely feel, are still the future. But while this fiat system is coming to an end, I just feel like it's an animal backed in a corner, and they're going to do everything they can to try to keep the US dollar alive, like you said. So, brother, I really appreciate your time, man. Before we wrap it up, do you got any final thoughts that you want to add to today's conversation?
I just, like I said earlier, our mission here at BitBoy Crypto is empowering people to find financial freedom through crypto assets. It's available to everybody. We've done it, and anybody that sticks in the space for more than 4 years, you're going to be able to make money in crypto and change your life. And so just encourage everybody, make sure to find multiple perspectives and, find as many educational resources as you can, and, get crypto smart.
Well said, my friend. Okay, if you could bear with me 1 second, I'm just going to wrap up the video and stop recording. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have links down below for everything we talked about on today's show. If this is your first time watching any of my videos, I do encourage you to check out and explore my channel. Make sure you subscribe to both Rice TVX and Rice TVX2, the backup channel, and both can be found on YouTube. And as always, I encourage you to be the change by practicing change.